didn't mean it. I just want you back for good. I want you back. Want you back. I want you back for good. Twitter locks Donald Trump's account for severe, repeated policy violations. Good, you fucking cunt.
There we go. And welcome to...
George! Oh, I look like Shamu.
Shamu?
Yeah, you know the whale one.
That's better
SeaWorld.
Better than Jabba.
Right now I take...
Would you like to move in a wee bit so we can see you? Because you seem to be sinking off screen there.
Do I? You want me to move closer?
Just bring it a wee inch. Wee inch. That's all it is.
So all it takes is that extra inch.
That's what my husband said.
Oh, it's often let down.
Not at all.
What are we doing?
Okay, so welcome.
Oh, I need to drink my tea this way. Because it's a picture of me.
That's the picture of me.
Absolutely. Cheers.
Cheers to the first review from the Celluloid Misfits.
Yeah. And it's 2021.
It is 2021. We're hopefully going to be offering you a lot of new things. Hopefully.
Including some quality tea. What's the tea?
Pick Punjana.
Fuck the cheap shit. Okay.
What do you want to pay for tea? Don't your own farm?
Oh, are we going to do a real Siskel neighbour standoff here?
Well, we shouldn't we?
Listen, George, I would have to disagree. I thought it was the best fucking film I've ever seen.
Well, that's probably what it's going to be like, let's be honest. There's a lot of stuff we have watched together that we don't really agree on.
Yeah.
But
they're too old now for us to do a review on.
they are, but there's going to be more to come.
Oh, there'll be plenty.
Plenty more.
Plenty.
Well, what's the first one we're going to look at?
Today, George, I would like to discuss Wonder Woman 1984.
Right.
Yeah, I would like to have a proper chat.
It's still quite fresh, isn't
Very
it?
fresh.
Yeah. And what did...
Stop it! You put me on! Yeah, let's discuss Wonder Woman 84. I know we've covered it.
We covered it
in our best of.
Yes, so we have talked, let's say, extensively about it, but we haven't reviewed it as such.
No, so people know we like it.
Yes.
If they've watched our films.
Yeah.
Or watched...
Our shows.
Let's have another sip of tea.
Yes, Wonder Woman 19.
More caffeine. Yeah, so people know that we like it from watching our videos.
Yeah.
But yeah, as you say, we haven't really reviewed it as such.
No. So, what
do we break it down?
Well, I mean, I don't... Okay, so are we going to... There's going to be spoilers, obviously.
Yeah. Yes, this is not a spoiler-free review.
No, this is heavy.
This is heavy. Yeah. This heavy.
I think it's safe to say we both thoroughly enjoyed it. It
Thoroughly.
was your number one
It was my
film
number
of
one film
2020 because it did just slip in at the end of 2020.
It did.
And for me it was number 2. And again, I think it definitely needs a rewatch.
Yeah.
I think because we'd waited so long, we were given so much from it. Like, it was a heavy movie, I find.
Yeah. Heavy emotionally.
Yeah, like there was more drama, more emotion. It wasn't just a regular action-packed superhero movie.
Yeah.
And that's what I think caught us off guard.
Yeah, so, and what has put a lot of people off. A lot of people I'm reading and hearing
they're disappointed.
them saying that they're disappointed by it. Some person on Instagram actually said to me, it was kind of like, his review was so, like, I really slated it. And I was like, but the justification behind why you hate it is it because it didn't have enough action. And the superhero movies should have action.
Yeah.
But you should also be able to like the characters that you're watching, relate to their circumstances, evolve with them as the franchise evolves. And that's what Patty Jenkins is trying to do.
But this also is why superhero movies prior to that, not the Christopher Reeve stuff as such, but between the MCU and, let's say, the original Superman movies.
So films like The Shadow, the Tim Burton
Batman,
The Phantom, The Crow.
But a lot of them didn't have what superhero movies today are offering, and it's not so much just the CGI, but it is the character development, the drama, the emotion, and they weren't mature enough. They were still just seen as corny superhero movies.
Yeah.
Whereas now they're giving us something that makes them real movie. I mean, these people are recognizing these now as real movies.
Unless
These
you're
are-
Martin Scorsese.
Well, of course.
Unless you're Scorsese and you don't recognise it. It's just a theme park ride.
Well, envy is...
Technically, I mean,
envy is a bad thing, you know.
It's
so.
not an attractive quality.
No, it's not.
I mean, I can be quite envious of people sometimes, and it's not attractive.
No.
But, you know, in a way, I think his statement stands that they are like theme park rides. You go on a very massive journey.
Who doesn't love a theme
You're
park?
yeah, you're up, you're down, you're happy, you're sad, you're on this freaking
You get a
roller
headache.
coaster for 2 hours.
Yeah.
And it is, but I think the reason that he said that, I think, was unfair. You know, that he's
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
real
yeah.
cinema's dying. Well, The Irishman was a great movie, Martin, but, you know,
But how long
again,
did it take him to come out with another great movie?
yeah,
You
it's
know,
been a while
it's
since
been a
Martin
while,
since
yeah.
done. And I'm looking forward to his... Anyway, we're not talking
Yes,
about him, we're
no,
talking
but-
about Wonder Woman
But the
84.
point is,
Yeah.
it's a completely different genre. That's like
Uh-huh.
him saying that, you know, Bollywood isn't real or Hong Kong movies aren't real entertainment or real cinema. Of course they are. They're just
Yeah.
a genre
But if-
he's not used to.
Yeah, but of course people have said that about Bollywood, have said that about Hong Kong films. You'll know more than anybody that even Hong Kong films tend to get pushed aside because
Yeah.
they're badly dubbed or they're, you know...
Well, they have a completely different way of seeing things.
Yes,
They have
absolutely.
a different
Their
format.
humour is
You could
different
have
and everything.
5 to 6 genres in one Hong Kong movie.
Yeah,
And
very
I'm,
much so.
I'm used to that,
Yeah.
so it doesn't bother me. But if a new, let's say, set of eyes from the West was to
Yes.
view that, they would say, what a mess.
Yeah, but that actually is a good point to make, which leads into Wonder Woman 84, is that people were like, it was messy. And I kind of didn't see the mess.
No, I definitely didn't see a mess.
It was
No,
very
no.
dense,
Yeah.
so there was an awful lot going on within the 2
I
hours.
think if there was
35.
another half an hour on that, it might have just helped that, smoothed that out a wee bit, you know?
So interestingly, Patty Jenkins, I watched an interview with her. She did say someone actually asked her, "What did you cut?" And she actually said she didn't cut very much, but she did cut more scenes of Diana and Steve Trevor
Right.
walking around Washington, little character moments.
Yeah.
But she says she is very much a fan of long form films. The longer the film, she finds the better because
Yeah.
you can get more into it.
Well-
very true.
Honestly, any MCU movie now is considered, let's say, epic because
Yeah.
of its running time.
Yeah,
What's wrong with the DCEU doing the same thing?
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah.
But also, you made a point earlier about the drama involved in superhero movies and the character development and emotion. I have a series of comic books where there's no action for maybe
Yes.
3 or 4 books
Yeah.
because there's just drama.
Yeah, some things that one of my favorite comic book writers and at the moment is Brian Michael Bendis, who did the Daredevil run.
Yeah.
He did a phenomenal Daredevil run, and it was very much for the first for the first maybe 12, 13, 14 issues, very drama heavy.
Yeah, hardly any action
Yeah.
as such. Yeah.
So it's not impossible for the superhero genre to provide us with enough emotion,
Yeah.
enough character, enough ways of getting us invested in what we're going to see. You know, and I think throwing us straight into action, which Wonder Woman 1984 did, it threw us in with this like nice little 80s
Yeah.
or shopping
The
mall.
mall kind of-
yeah,
yeah,
which
yeah.
I thought
It
was fun.
it was
reminded
fun.
me like of True Lies, you know, whenever Arnie and
yes.
Art Malik
Yeah.
is on his horse and
Yes,
he's riding.
that's right.
It reminded me very much of like 90s, 80s action scenes.
It was
which
very
we've done
much.
now.
It was very much. And
What's the film with Jackie Chan where he's in the supermarket that I watched?
Toy
Toy Story.
Yeah.
I mean, very much that was kind of, I felt like
Yes.
that's what I was watching.
You
A
were-
nice little throwback.
It was a throwback.
Yeah.
I definitely, no, I agree with you on that, without a doubt. I think, but they thought about that, obviously. I think that was put
it was
in place to
executed.
make this feel like it was an 80s movie.
Yes.
Of course.
And a lot of people aren't seeing that.
No.
A lot of people are like, oh, the CGI wasn't great, the action scenes were underwhelming, the whatever. And a part of me was like, you're totally missing the point
Yeah.
of what this film was trying to
But
accomplish.
I think had the producers and Paddy thought, excuse me, that this was coming after the success of Wonder Woman,
Yeah.
they may have approached the first Wonder Woman very differently. Whereas they made it so, let's say, modern and action packed. I
Yeah.
think that if they had come up with the idea that we're going to make this sequel an 80s style action movie, they may have given us a more classic approach.
Yeah.
to Wonder Woman.
Yes.
And that's what threw people off.
Absolutely. And I think that what happened with Wonder Woman as well is that it followed that style and formula and of Dawn of Justice and Justice League. It had that look and that feel.
Yeah.
And I think that at the beginning DC were trying to keep a consistency in the
Yes.
look of what they were doing.
That's right.
And then realised
Once
this is not
when
working.
Aquaman came out and it broke that mold,
Yes.
for me Aquaman was probably is the most comic book movie. Like the colours and the way,
Yeah.
the action, excuse me, everything about it was just comic book.
Yeah.
And then this here has come in with a similar style. So.
With a lot of vibrancy,
Yeah.
a lot of really kind of, I mean, we'll get into more detailed description on the actual film and what we thought about the production design, but everything within it kind of, it was a totally different to Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman.
Yeah,
But because it's set in a completely different era,
of course.
you can't have that running style
Yeah.
in a comic book
Yeah,
franchise if it's set over 40 years apart.
And comic books change all the time. They get new writers, they get new artists, they get, there's a whole new layout to comic books every other year.
Yeah.
And sometimes it works for the fans, sometimes I don't want to read it. I mean, there was a relaunch of Spider-Woman with Jessica Drew, and it started with the first 5 or 6 comics to look beautiful. And I was like, yes, I want that. And then by I think it was either the 6th or the 7th issue, they changed the artist, they changed their style, and I was like, nah, I'm gonna give up.
Yeah.
But that's the same
Such
with the
a shame.
movies. Yeah. And also people, yes, Zack Snyder seems to be the person behind the DCU as such, but they're changing and they're coming in with new names and new
evolving. Yeah.
The same as the MCU have done. They've given it to so many different people, but it still works. It still gels so well together.
I think that Kevin Feige, as much as people might want to say Disney and Marvel rule the world and they're taking over, there's a very clear path with Marvel that Kevin Feige and all of his producers, directors clearly knew where they were going from the very first Iron Man.
Yeah.
They were like, this works, here's where we're going to go.
Yeah.
And they thought about that, they planned that, and it worked down to perfection.
Yeah.
Right up until Endgame. We haven't seen anything after that yet.
But even that, you look at deleted scenes and things that we haven't seen that are popping up now that they were covering their tracks just in case they got the X-Men back, just in case they got Spider-Man early.
Yeah.
And whereas the DCEU, ran in there to try and catch up with them.
They did. And too fast.
Far too fast. I mean, as I said in my reviews before for the DCEU, the Justice League came maybe 7 or 8 movies too quick.
I mean, they were bringing characters in that we knew nothing about.
No.
We didn't know Cyborg. We didn't know Aquaman. I mean, we knew who they were.
Yeah.
But it was with Avengers and with Marvel, what they did was they introduced us to a lot of those characters before giving us the first Avengers film.
And you fell in love with them. You
did.
Enjoyed them. You wanted to know
They were well
more.
cast. I'm not saying that the DC didn't cast very well. They did. But they just... It was almost like we need an event movie and we need it now because Avengers is huge and we now need it.
That was their first major, for me, their first major mistake.
Did it come before Suicide Squad?
Second, maybe.
But, the point is, is that they did rush into it. They're now starting to relax.
Yep.
They're now starting to view it as a potential major kind of universe.
It's starting to work.
It is. With the likes of Shazam, Aquaman, Birds of Prey, hopefully James Gunn's new Suicide Squad, and Wonder Woman.
That could be a massive turnaround for them.
The James Gunn Suicide Squad. It looks like it's going to be a huge turnaround. I can't wait to review that together.
As it's fun. Which we'll also review Birds of Prey, but I think that for me was also a big shake for the DC.
Very much.
It completely broke. And
people hated it because it was different. And even my parents, we're obviously talking about Wonder Woman 84, but for example with Birds of Prey, my mum and my sister would watch superhero movies.
Yeah.
But because they were then used to Harley Quinn and Suicide Squad and seeing the Dawn of Justice and Justice League.
Yeah.
And then whenever Birds of Prey came out, Mum was like, I didn't get it. She was like talking over it. And I was like, Mum, you needed to... She was going back and, she was telling the story. So you gotta understand what's going on here. Now, my mum is not a stupid woman.
No,
But whenever they try something a little different,
Yeah.
it throws people into a kind of almost catastrophic
it's almost
frenzy.
like what they're saying is, okay, let's forget how we screwed up for the first four or five movies there, and let's go again. Which is fine. And that, again, going back to Wonder Woman, that's
Yes.
where we're starting to see something new, something. It's revamping the whole DCEU,
Yes.
which is, for me, working now.
Yeah. And there's a couple of things that I want to discuss kind of further into this review, but I suppose where we'll start is with the cast.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the overall casting?
Overall, I mean...
Actually, no. Sorry. Let's start with the story, because I think
Okay.
that's the most important place
Well,
to start
okay.
is with the
Let's
story.
the story.
Let's start there.
Right.
Roger.
Grand. I thought it was grand. Absolutely grand. No, it's not a story. I'm not a big Wonder Woman reader.
Mm-hmm.
I have got a number of graphic novels that I've read over the years, but it wasn't something I was familiar with as such. But even the story was very 80s in its telling.
Yeah.
Like, totally. Like, you could have shown this to somebody 20 or 40 years ago and it would have worked.
Yeah.
Because it would have fit it. It was very Indiana Jones at time.
Mm-hmm.
Even with the scene with her going under the truck. Like
Yes.
Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked.
Yeah.
It suited the time. It suited the mood. I don't think it was overly modern for what we were watching.
Definitely not. I thought that whole concept of the Dreamstone was actually a really good one. You know, I quite liked that, and I liked how they developed that. You know, they didn't know what it was straight away. They had to work it out as you say, very Indiana Jones, like Tomb Raider-y. Like, let's figure out
like
what's
an adventure movie.
Yeah,
and that was
absolutely
basically how it was laid out.
And for me, it worked really, really well because it wasn't like a big bad. This was like something that, for me, reminded me like of Superman and his kryptonite.
Yeah.
You know, this was something that was
Superman 2. Would it have more kind of?
It would have that kind of where Zod comes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it would have that kind of more of that. I mean, obviously they had the big giant battle at the end of Superman 2.
Yes.
But with Superman, you look at Superman, the movie 1978, where was the big battle at the end of Superman 78? It wasn't existent because they didn't need it.
Yeah.
Because they were telling a story.
Yeah.
And that's what I felt about Wonder Woman 84, is that they were telling the story about...
It was very similar in tone to that.
Yeah.
So it was. Yeah.
Gosh. So I enjoyed the concept.
Yeah.
I thought it was quite nice and how they handled it, and, you know, making these wishes and what you sacrifice for your wish.
Yes.
And that happens in real life.
Of course
because
it does.
that's totally relatable. You want something, and
Well, that's the balance of life, really.
that is absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, shit happens.
That's such a good way to put it, George. Actually, the balance of life, it very much is. You want something. What do you have to give up to get that?
Exactly.
Who do you have to walk over to get to where you want to be? Mm-hmm. What is it going to cost you in the end?
And we've all had to do it.
We've all
in
been
some
there.
respect.
Maybe not as fantastical as 84, but you know, well, you know. We haven't had a Dreamstone and been like, I want to be like George, and then I turn into you.
But it also, that was at a period when, in America especially, when greed and commercialism was at its height. Like, that was just, give me, I want.
Yes.
And that worked.
Because they were pushing everything in the 80s. The marketing strategies became more elaborate. They were using lighting and what's subliminal messaging and all of that kind of stuff to encourage you to want.
Spend, want.
Yes. And that very much, as you say, played into that 80s mentality of we want,
yes,
and I need, and I'm not happy, and I'm not good enough, and I'm not this.
But that's something the younger audience of today have not experienced, do not get, and will not get, and that's why there's probably more hate for this film.
Yeah, because today's younger audience, and I don't want to kind of completely single the younger audience out, because there were a lot of older critics that were a bit nasty about it, but where a lot of younger people come in, everything is too easily accessible. In the 80s it wasn't. You wanted fame, you had to work for that. You couldn't just set up a YouTube channel. So someone saying, I want to be famous, and then getting that instantly is like, oh my god, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas today, I want to be
Marvelous.
famous. Let's set up a YouTube. Let's do a TikTok account.
Let's floss.
Let's vlog. Yeah. Well, I don't even know what that is, but whatever. But they then get thousands and thousands of subscribers, and they are kind of like
instantly
internet
they're like,
famous.
Yeah.
And then think they're something.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, as you say, back then, there was a lot of commercialism, a lot of marketing, a lot of wanting, a lot of like, oh God, you would just do anything to get
And
what you want.
a lot of people like Max, was it?
Maxwell Lord.
Yeah, a lot of people like that. I mean, he theoretically, I can imagine he was based off one or two different characters in real life from the 80s. But that was real. That was something that you saw on television, not so much in the UK, and especially not in Northern Ireland, but we only had the Presbyterians.
Yeah. God, love the
But
Presbyterians.
that was such a famous thing in America for that period of time. So everything worked. Everything fell into place. The more and more you think about it, actually, it was very cleverly done.
Absolutely.
And it obviously had been created and written by people of that time, from people who experienced that. Because that is real experience. That is, I mean, there was a couple of moments and scenes in there towards the end where you had that panic and manic going on out in the green of the...
Oh, yes. Yeah.
Slightly a bit silly, but very tongue-in-cheek, I think, at the same time. I can almost see it as a panel in a comic book. Just to get the point across.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Cows in the green.
Yes!
But it is very much a comic book panel. But apart from that, it was actually very wittily done. Yeah, I did like
So the casting then?
Casting, I mean, Gal, for me, is Wonder Woman. I obviously am a big fan of Linda Carter from the original show.
Can we talk about that dancing?
We will, but once we've talked about casting.
Okay.
But a Gal, for me, is Wonder. She is beautiful.
Yeah.
She is fantastic at the action. She looks great, and no matter what scene she walks into.
She looks great.
Phenomenally. Yeah.
Anyway.
Regardless.
And we are not fans of women. Well, sorry, let me rephrase that. We're fans of women, but we like men in a sexual way, so we're not like sexualizing Gal Gadot.
No.
My God,
But
she is
phenomenal.
an amazing woman.
But even her screen presence as Wonder Woman, you just see her now as this is her. This is
such
the
an
Amazonian.
Yeah, and it was a very interesting casting choice for me because it wasn't someone that I would have put down because there's a lot of flack and I don't want to give him any kind of credit. Well, I do, because he gave me one of the greatest shows of all time with Buffy, but Joss Whedon, way back in the late 80s, early 2000s, was linked to a Wonder Woman film.
Right.
And he had there was rumours that Charisma Carpenter, who played Cordelia Chase in Buffy and Angel, she was also in the Expendable movies as Jason Statham's girlfriend.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thought I recognized
was going to play Wonder Woman.
Interesting.
Yeah, and she always had that. She was buxom, she was curvy, she was very much like a comic book interpretation of what I would see the old style Wonder Woman to look like, with that long dark hair
Did we
and
not
everything.
try a reboot with an English actress?
No, they did. David E. Kelly tried a Wonder Woman show with Adrian Palicki as Wonder Woman, as like a kind of comedy, like a David E. Kelly type show.
Right, okay, so but it didn't work.
But it didn't work.
No.
Obviously, it didn't even get off the ground, and the pilot looked absolutely dreadful.
Was that in the 90s or early 2000s?
No, that was more like 2012.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, just after Blakey had finished Friday Night Lights.
Okay.
So there were whenever they announced casting initially, and whenever people were fan casting online, as they like to do,
Yeah.
Gal Gadot was not mentioned.
No, and it's not someone I'd imagine would have jumped out prior to this.
No.
Which is interesting, but again, something that works because it's such a fresh... You're always used with Hollywood presenting the same faces over and over and over, constantly. Because they're obviously, especially with Disney connected movies and shows, everyone's they're linked through something.
Yeah.
So this was a really fresh take and a fresh face. Her first appearance was Donna Justice.
Donna Justice?
Yeah.
Was it?
With the Batman versus Superman.
Oh, yes, yeah.
And that I mean, that was her introduction,
Mm-hmm.
and I think she stole the show completely.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
She was the only reason I watched that,
Yeah.
to be honest. I was kind of like, this movie sucks, but Gal Gadot, oh my god, those legs.
The Ultimate Edition, the extended edition does play a lot better
Okay, I
than
must watch
the
that.
theatrical cut, definitely. And there is some beautiful, stylish shots throughout it.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think Snyder captures that comic book essence, the darkness of it. You know, it's very, in a sense.
I do find that he's very hyper stylized, though.
Oh yeah. Oh, totally.
It's a little bit too dark and a little bit too kind of. I'm trying to find an appropriate word to describe his style, but that style has been. We've seen it in Sucker Punch. We've seen it in different Snyder films, like 300 as well.
Watchmen and stuff.
Watchmen. So it's kind of like it's his style, but a lot of directors evolve their style.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
And Snyder doesn't seem to be evolving his style.
No.
Now, it clearly works because people wanted the Snyder cut of Justice League, which we're getting. But in
also,
a way, it's kind of like you've got to allow.
Yeah, but I think that's why they're now giving more DC projects, to other directors to allow for that difference. You know, and it's working. Yeah. Definitely.
What do you think about the rest of the cast?
So Pedro, I loved.
Pedro Pascal.
Again, you know,
Great.
this is my point about a new face becoming more and more. You know, he's been around, yes.
Yeah.
But after the success of the Mando, of course, we're going to see more and more and more of him.
Yeah.
You know.
And rightly so.
Yeah, I mean, he was fantastic.
He was.
He
was an 80s villain.
Yes. Exactly.
Wasn't he?
Yeah. You can see him popping up in the A-Team or something.
Yeah, but he did. He gave me that kind of Gene Hackman, Lex Luthor vibe.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of like crazy Lex Luthor vibe. You know, it was
without
nice.
going over the top.
Yeah. And he really played it so sensationally well.
Yeah.
And that was what was so smart. We keep saying that's what was so smart about it. Is that it all felt very 80s.
Oh yeah.
The acting. The performances, the characters, everything.
I think if people were to watch a few more 80s shows and get a bit of a, let's say, relapse of 80s entertainment, and then go back to it, they would start to see what Wonder Woman 84 is all about.
Yeah. And do you know what else I would like in Wonder Woman 84 too is Lois and Clark, The New Adventures of Superman.
Oh, yes.
With especially the scenes between Diana and Steve. You know, it kind of had that kind of Lois and Clark
it kind of did, actually.
vibe, didn't it?
Yeah.
And I like that.
Yes.
Now, I know Lois and Clark is 90s.
Of course.
But it kind of a lot of 80s overlapped into the 90s.
With the new show coming on the way.
I know Superman and Lois. Yeah, we won't talk about it.
No.
Once I see it, I'll talk about it. But before that, no. But it was giving me a lot of feels and vibes, especially. And I think Chris Pine is so great.
He. I mean, that was something that when we saw him in the trailers, we didn't know where this was.
Yeah. How
it was going to happen, and of course, it made very, very simple sense whenever we saw that.
Yeah.
But yeah, even his introduction to appearing in the 80s and finding all these new things, they could have took it further, of course.
They could have, yes.
And yes, there was moments where he could climb into a jet and fly no problem, and yes, there was those little moments where it was just questionable, but at the same time, it was fun, and it was nice to see him back, and I think that's what was needed. But as we said before in our top 10, it was nice how she could only see him as Chris Pine, as Steve, whereas...
So this leads into something that I read online, was that she could only see Steve in this other guy's body. Everyone else seen the other person.
Yeah, of course.
She only seen Steve. They slept together. People are now like, oh, this is rape. Because the guy, he had sex without the guy's permission, his body he was in, and I'm kind of like, come on, guys.
Is this how low people
this
need
is
to
how
go to make
low
a movie?
people are going.
Fuck me.
That this is an issue for people, and I'm like, you're so not getting it. He was inside that person's body with his own. He had that other person's thoughts.
Yes.
We don't know what that other person was thinking.
No,
but that other person,
complaining.
And
that's ridiculous. That is one of the most absurd things I think
heard.
I've ever ever heard.
I don't usually get into online debates, but I was so aghast by this one, actually this very long post that I was like, is this really what we're talking about right
yeah,
now?
right. Oh, fuck me.
This is
so
stupid.
ridiculous.
And it shouldn't even come into the equation.
No, it shouldn't.
But people are
It's
trying
a
to
movie.
pick. This is the difference between us
Mm-hmm.
and people who are woke. Now, I have no issues with being woke. I consider myself a woke person when it comes to race relations, women
well,
rights, all of
I
those
just-
things, because they've been around forever.
Yeah, and I just
And
consider
some
myself
people
a
are
good
just
person,
very
so-
conservative. Yeah, you're a good person. I'm a good person. But a lot of people are just very conservative, and those
Yeah.
conservative people are now finally waking up to the realities of the world.
Jesus.
But do we need to be that woke?
No, that's just
Absolutely
ridiculous.
not. Kristen Wiig.
Okay, so this for me was I do
The
enjoy.
biggest
I enjoy
surprise.
her in her comedies.
Yeah.
Again, it's somebody much like Kendrick, is it?
Anna Kendrick, yeah.
I go in and I think, oh God, it's her. But I always enjoy her. I always think the same thing, but I always enjoy her.
Yeah.
And with this, I was kind of like, because I really enjoy Cheetah. I'm a fan of Cheetah, and I was
Great
kind of
character.
thinking, oh no, is this, she's not an action starlet.
No. But she pulled it off
But she
amazingly
pulled
well.
it off really well. And even from her first introduction as that kind of silly, kind of clumsy.
Clumsy,
Character.
quirky.
Yeah. But
Very
you
much-
can't help but like her, you know.
Yeah,
it's like,
she's very much like a wallflower.
yeah. Oh,
you know,
totally. Yeah,
and
yeah.
She played it so fantastically well. It
She
gave
did.
me, I said this to you, it gave me very much Michelle Pfeiffer
Oh,
Batman
Catwoman.
Returns
Yeah,
vibes.
yeah,
You know, when
did.
Michelle
Yeah.
Pfeiffer's introduced in Batman
Yeah.
Returns, she's like this kind of
Yes.
awkwardly
Yeah,
clumsy,
yeah, it
dropping
was.
things.
And I think
like,
that was possibly a nod to
I would
Michelle,
say so.
maybe.
But what wonderful development. I mean, it was very much, again, you know, people were like, oh, we didn't get Cheetah until the end. For me, had Cheetah, the actual Cheetah, been introduced earlier,
Yeah.
I would have been a bit like, that's
Well, I
too
think,
fast.
I think then
That
we would have had our big baddie
we would have.
showdown.
But this is what's making
taken
me
away
think,
from Max.
are we going to get Cheetah
Back.
in a sequel? Because we don't actually know if Cheetah has lost all her powers. That was never clarified
Or
at the
does she
end.
just take it back in and let it go again?
Can she control
it?
this kind of apex predator style thing? But what I liked was that the development of Cheetah was a really, really solid one. We got her as Barbara Minerva. We had that kind of distance relationship with Diana, who kind of sympathised because Diana could understand
Yeah.
where she
Yeah.
was in life and that she didn't fit in, and Diana is kind of like, I don't kind of fit in either, and I don't want to make friends with someone because I don't age and
Yes.
I'm going to be around forever.
She
and
had
is
her
this
own
yeah
reasonings and
she
her
did.
own problems, yes.
And then Barbara kind of starts to idolize Diana,
Mm-hmm.
being like, God, she's so confident and she's so strong and she's so
even tries
attractive.
To become a bit of Diana
She
at that
does.
stage.
Yeah.
She even tries to kind of like
Yeah, by
learn
trying
from
on
her.
different clothes.
Yeah,
and
she
things like
learns
that
from
there.
her as opposed to
But then that development
Becoming her.
into being like, the world owes me something.
yeah. Suddenly there's that change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She becomes less of a sympathetic character, more of a villain.
Well,
but I still feel sympathy for her.
Of course you do, yeah. But yeah, because people are
And
pushed
that's-
in that. I mean, most serial killers are pushed into what they become because of
God.
fucking abusive parents or others. But you know, that's how the mind
Society,
works.
society isolates
Of
them.
course
and
it is.
Pigeonholes them.
That's just how the mind. That's how weak the mind is. So, but you do see her flip into that when she meets that guy from the park
The
on
guy
the
that
street.
she helps,
You know, and then
she beats the shit out of the guy that tried to
yes,
kill her,
tried to basically
rape her.
rape her.
Yeah,
And
but then the guy that the black guy that
Yes,
she gives the
of
money
course.
to, and then he comes
But
along
that's
and
where you
he's
start
like,
to see
Barbara, and
her-
she's like, mind your own business. She's starting, as you say, starting to
yes,
change.
that's her evolvement.
Yeah.
As such, but no, I did appreciate her character. I would have liked to have seen more Cheetah,
Absolutely.
but
I
I
agree
feel
with that.
had Cheetah become the main villain, then we would have lost Max's story because
Yeah.
they couldn't have ran them side by side. I don't think without it becoming a
Not
mess.
on a very high level.
No, it would have got messy.
Yeah, the end would have been a little bit too bombastic. I
Yeah,
think.
yeah. I mean, look, we've had the story of Max. He's done. I think that's him.
Well, Maxwell Lord is gone, yeah.
So I think now we've got...
They are saying Wonder Woman 3 is going to be a modern story.
Yes. Yeah.
Which is kind of nice. I hope they do Gods and Monsters. Bring in the kind of Greek mythology characters. I mean, that's what I'm hoping for.
Wow.
But...
yeah, I mean, there's a chance.
But wonderful characterizations. This is why I'm kind of thinking, is Cheetah going to maybe reappear? Has she kind of found a way to harness? Did she go so far into her wish that she turned into pretty much a human cheetah?
That she could become.
That has she now got that ability to go in and out of being that person?
There is a chance. I mean, I think if there was enough praise for that, look, the character's been there forever. She needs to come back.
Cheetah?
Yeah.
Oh God, I mean, she is Wonder Woman's
biggest
top
nemesis.
Yeah.
It's not like they can just get rid of her and pretend she never existed.
No.
You know, so
No.
she's got to come back. Whether the proposed Flashpoint story.
Oh, well, it's not proposed. It's definitely happening.
It's definitely happening, but you know, it's not. I don't think it's going to be the Flashpoint we all know.
No,
but
unfortunately not.
It could shake things up, and there could be.
It's opening the multiverse, which I think is what they need to do, because there's a lot of different things going on in DC that I think if Flashpoint opens the multiverse, a lot of the films will start to make sense a bit more.
Yes, and that's their tidy up moment.
Yes, that is their tidy up moment.
That's their as they call it in America, their white out and
yes.
their Tipex moment.
Yeah.
So they can just
yeah.
No, I think that there is a possibility of her definitely reprising that role, and she did own it. She did work very well for it. So I would like to see more of her.
I would love to see more of Kristen Wiig. On the final kind of fight, what I actually liked, and they didn't have this. They had the cheetah fight, which was nice. I liked it. It wasn't as it wasn't as mind blowing as I expected. But what you heard my reaction when I seen and I went and I started to clap my hands. I was like, yeah, there she is, and it was nice to get her for that moment. The end of that film, and this is what people are missing the point of, was that 40 years have gone by since Wonder Woman. The first Wonder Woman. We haven't seen her for 40 years. The whole purpose of that ending was Diana realizing her place and what the kind of superhero that she needs to become. That she doesn't have to battle, Steppenwolf to be an amazing hero to people. She is the people's hero. She's a people's hero. And by giving that very emotive speech, which Gal just delivered to absolute perfection,
she was very good.
Was just, I think it was so good. We could have had Maxwell become this huge, big, glowy blue dreamstone and her fighting him, and I would have been like, meh. But just that moment when she starts to talk to Maxwell, but also to everyone, was like, she's now just become Wonder Woman. That has just made her the hero of today, yesterday, and tomorrow.
Her becoming Superman, theoretically, because how Superman's accepted by everyone. Then that was her moment.
Yeah, she spends so much time hiding, and we see that in the beginning of the film in the shopping mall when she's like shh to the little girl, like don't tell anyone, and she kind of flips
out the cameras with her headband.
And I think that's her moment to be like, I'm here, I have arrived, and I'm going to be a hero. I'm going to be the hero that people want me to be, and no more hiding.
She was woke.
She was woke. Yeah, very much. In terms of the production and things like that there, how did you find the camera, the direction, the production design, everything like that there?
Look, for me it was a typical major Hollywood production.
Yeah.
There was nothing spectacular, really. As I think more so in these kind of superhero movies where there's a lot of CGI needed to make it work. I'm happy enough with it. I wasn't, again, there was nothing bad that stuck out to me that made me kind of go, it was, which a lot of movies
do
today do. But no, I think Paddy's a very competent director.
Extremely competent.
And I didn't sort of think there was any major issues technically there.
No.
But yeah, just a
I think she handled that.
Typical big budget Hollywood movie.
And I have to say, this is me being quite honest, I have to say, in a man's hands, that would not have worked. I don't think we would have got that same character development, those little intimate moments.
No.
Especially even that moment where Diana says goodbye to Steve and
yeah,
walks away.
that's right.
The moments where Barbara is, discovering her new powers and transforming. We wouldn't have got that. It would have been action,
No.
action, action, action,
Yeah.
action.
But also there's
It would have been fabulous.
Yeah, but there's a few. There was also it needed this
It needed a
cliche,
woman's
the
touch.
touch of a woman. Yeah, and that's just how it was.
Yeah.
But there was other wee moments there, like when you saw, when her and Steve first met,
Yeah.
and how even the camera movements were.
Yes.
That went round them,
Yeah.
and suddenly Steve was there.
Yeah.
And then whenever she was leaving him, if you noticed, they came back.
The opposite direction. I did notice
and then
that. Yes.
Then that was him gone. You
Yeah.
know, so there was a lot of little moments, technically like that were fun.
Yeah.
Nothing spectacular, but they were fun.
Yeah.
You know, little quirks. But I think it was. Well done.
The action scenes that did exist within the film.
So the action scenes, I mean, not highly memorable, because again, they just weren't. I don't feel they had the impact, but again, it fitted the style.
It did.
It fitted the time.
Fitted
I
the
think
story.
the Cairo chase.
The Cairo car chase was fantastic.
That was the highlight in terms of the action. Because at that moment she's losing her power. She's she's becoming weaker and she's more vulnerable.
Yeah.
And you get that. You get a lot of those moments where you think, of course, she's
And there was a little moment. Yeah, you did, right? And there was a couple of little things that I was like, "Oh, is she losing her powers because of her wish or because of Barbara's wish?"
Yeah, right. So yes, there was moments I thought that myself. Yeah, you could see
and that was never really fully established.
No,
but I think that it was both, because
think,
obviously you lose something. Barbara lost a lot of her humanity along the way.
And she wanted to be.
More like Diana, so she's sucking away that power
and
as much as Diana
Diana's
was giving
wish.
away her power to get what her heart truly desired.
Yeah.
And then getting that permission from Steve to say, "Hey, we had it.
Yeah.
I loved you. I will always love you."
Yeah, it was quite a
Move on.
strong moment actually, because it's basically.
And that's, to me,
end.
those are where the highlights lie. We're in those character moments. I loved the shopping mall fight scene. I thought it was a lovely throwback.
It was fun,
The Cairo car chase was very well executed in terms of it. She was struggling in that car chase to really keep up.
You were on the edge of your seat slightly with that, because you did feel, is this it?
And it's like she's pushing those trucks apart and she's struggling. She's like, there's something that's not right here, and we didn't quite know.
In some shapes and positions that a woman in scantily clad costume shouldn't have been in.
No, and if a man had directed it,
it would have been even worse.
We would have had some questionable shots there.
Yes, we would have been agreeing with the snowflakes.
Yeah. But all in all, I think it worked phenomenally well. I think that the haters are missing very much the point.
I think they have totally missed it. It's a misunderstood movie, without a doubt.
So.
Without a doubt.
And some of the best films in history really are.
Of course they are.
Look at when Fight Club first came out. People were like, "What the hell's going on?"
All
it
my
is
movies,
not. Well, okay. I mean, you could use that as an example, because people would question your films because of the budget and be like, "Oh, it's shit because it looks shit."
They judge it to an MCU movie.
They're judging it, yes, based on the fact that they think that you should have 50 million to make a zombie film. You know, it might happen one day.
Someday.
Yeah. But
and what about that final scene then? That post-credit moment.
Oh, so the post-credits, I thought
that
it was like,
we were just like.
I was very confused. I was like, is this? I thought it was Diana at first walking through, and I was like, And then Linda Carter.
Holy shit!
Turns round, and I'm like, what the fuck? I think the both of us literally out loud went, what? It was just one of those moments that I was like, oh my god. Makes me think that character and that Linda might be in.
So she was the
original.
Her character was the one who originally wore that armor.
Yes.
No,
she's the original Amazon.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I want to jump back quickly because it's something I wanted to talk about.
Okay. Yeah.
The armor. That slightly disappointed me in the fact that, you seen from that opening as a kid that what she really wanted was to be the wearer of that, to be the person who owned that armor as such. Not for any egotistical way, but she just wanted to prove herself.
Yes.
And when it came down to her actually coming in there and swooping in that armour, it didn't last. It was kind of like...
Well, it was kind of ripped apart.
But there was no... You had almost like a poster moment, and then it was gone. You know, it was I
have to say, she looked fab in that armour.
Oh, yeah.
And I'd love to see the armour come back.
But it's not Wonder Woman as such. Wonder Woman is what we see her in.
Oh, yeah.
It's that
the
iconic costume.
Yeah.
So this, theoretically, yes, it was like her Iron Man moment, and then it was gone, you know, or him and his 1,000 costumes. But
again, that was a moment, I think a lot of it, whenever you read into the subtext of the movie, with the armour especially, she didn't feel like she was good enough to wear that. She's finally, when she's like saying hi to Steve, she's now like, I am good enough.
Yeah.
I can put this armour on, and I'm going to be...
Well, it was when she was 100% realised who she was herself, and then she could wear it.
Yeah.
And that was, again, going full circle to what she wanted from the start. But yeah, it was just the
I
fact
wish I could arrive to people's homes on Lightning as well.
Oh, see that lassoing, I mean, that was corny, but comic book excellence. I mean,
so like down, like again, you talk about frames and like comic book like moments.
That was it.
I could see that in a comic book. I think I have seen that. Like those shots where she's lassoing the lightning and flying
to fly. Finally, she's learned.
That was one of the most beautiful moments in the thing. That she says goodbye to Steve. Great moment.
And then eventually.
And then she gets that is how she gets her power of flight.
Yeah.
That's what he gives her.
Yeah.
He's
totally.
I love you. As like I said, I love you. I give you permission to move on. And as a parting gift, it's like, here you go. And I was like, this is magic.
And it worked. You know, there was a extended moment of her trying.
Yes.
But you can feel it.
I was rooting for her. Yeah.
And even that, I think she threw a wee Superman moment in there.
She did a wee Superman pose. She did, and it was nice.
It was nice.
It was
I like
nice
that.
to see.
But then it leads. Okay, so then.
Sorry, we're talking about Linda.
Oh, sorry. Yes, back to Linda quickly.
Yeah.
In a wee minute, but Dawn of Justice. Batman versus Superman, Wonder Woman's there. At this stage, she should be able to fly, but we don't see her fly in it. We do see her leap
into
massively.
Yeah.
So is she now at that stage? I don't think they were thinking too much ahead, but perhaps she's just controlling it. Because I know some people are probably going to pick that out.
Yeah,
and
true.
be like, oh, she wasn't fucking playing in Justice League and
yeah,
Dawn of Justice. But yes, I think she was able to leap.
Yeah.
And she was able to jump high and all that. So whatever, get over
it.
But yes, Linda Carter, it was brilliant to see her in.
Yeah.
I know there was talk of her perhaps coming back.
Yeah.
And I was just glad to see it. I just never expected it. So it was quite a surprise. And where they go with it. And she looked great.
She looked absolutely fantastic.
So
she looked like she looked in the 70s.
She really did.
It was unreal.
But even her turn, did you see when she turned around? Her arm came out like she was about to go into a swing.
Yes. To turn into Wonder Woman.
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it. Those little moments people aren't appreciating enough.
No.
That's where I think people are missing out. They want the big, massive battles. They want everything to be large and in charge. This was much more epic on a much more personal and human level for me.
I think so.
And I think for me, that's why the movie gets 5 stars.
Woo!
For me, because it really did. Just, it worked on every single level for me.
Okay, cool.
Every level.
I'm going to go with 4.3.
Wow, that's a very specific
It's a specific one. I would go with a 4, but there's a want in me to give it more, but I'm still not complete with the... For me, 4 is excellent. It's a,
4's an
for me, 5
score.
is unmissable. But it's reaching in between there. So
for me, it was... I mean, this was an unmissable film. And the fact that we got to see it on the big screen was just such an extra pleasure
without a doubt.
last year. Sorry,
because we had a 2-week window where the cinemas open
literally
to capture it. So.
A 2-week window, and that was it.
No, I think when it comes out on Blu-ray and we rewatch it and we see much more, because I find when you're watching it on home, especially on Blu-ray, you're getting so much more. It's an even
if you put your phone down.
It's a much if you put your phone down, it's a much different experience than the big screen, but you get to see something fresh.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
I think it's going to perhaps bump that rating up of mine a wee bit more.
Well, hopefully.
But also let me just kind of enjoy it a bit better than I did in the cinema. Yeah. I think the cinema experience, you're blown away with it.
You are.
You're shocked, you're surprised, you're like, trying to take everything
You're in the
big
middle
screen.
of it. 'Cause
Yeah.
you're completely immersed in everything.
Once at home on the big screen here at
On the
home,
big screen,
you're kind
yeah.
of like got it.
Yeah.
You can see much more detail.
Yeah.
So I do
Yeah,
think
because the detail is much more pronounced.
yeah, and I think the second viewing is actually going to be even better.
Yeah. I think that this is a film that, for me, much like Superman 70, it gets better with each
Oh
viewing,
yeah.
You know.
I think so.
So I'm quite happy with that.
Very happy.
How did you find that? Our first ever on-screen review. How did you find it?
I
Do you
found
think we
it
did
to
it
be
competently?
Delightful. Well, there wasn't as much bad language as there normally is.
Do you know we did not swear once, and that
I
is
did.
well, you did. I did not use profanity one time in that entire review.
Wait till he
That's
sees the
because
edit.
I was no. Because you're gonna drop in like clips of me saying bad words from other things.
Like what?
No, I'm hoping that this will lead into our own television show.
Oh,
George.
of course. There's no doubt.
Yeah,
No
we need to be
doubt.
professional, darling.
So-
And my cap.
I was going to say,
and
stop
my-
wearing a cap.
I know. I'm so sorry. It's because my hair is a fucking mess today.
Me too. There you go. You just,
Whoa! I said it. Woo! Had to get one swear word in there. But yeah, I thought that was great. I really enjoyed that.
Yes,
it was nice to sit
lovely.
down and talk in depth about it.
Yes.
And on reflection, not straight after the film.
No.
Which
no,
was
no.
it's kind of nice.
That's nice also, but I think when you've time to really take it in and think about it, then it makes things a bit more.
It can also can change your score,
Of course.
because at the start you could be, oh my god, amazing, 5 stars, and then think about it and be like, actually, this didn't work for me, that didn't work for me. The more I thought about it, the more I was like, god, this moment and that moment, and I was just like, nah, it's just that for
There
me.
you go. That's it.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
So,
Well, thanks very much for watching.
Yeah.
Hope you've made it all the way through, and we will be back with more reviews tomorrow. Actually,
Yeah.
I don't know whenever we get.
But we'll get there. And let us know in the comments below what you thought of Wonder Woman 84.
Mm-hmm.
We know a lot of you won't love it. But let us know if
Give it
if
another
this
go.
review kind of
Changed your mind.
changed your... Yeah, let us know.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. See you next time.
Harry Pie.
Cherry pie. Is there anything comic booky we could say?
Kapow!
Kapa! Shazam! What is Wonder Woman? Does Wonder Woman have like a saying?
No, I don't think she does.
No, can you grain a lasso in and out there?
What our budget is here.
I do love a low budget.